Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Endless Celts Podcast, our first ever post-match reaction live to the game of Celtic versus Ross County. Joined by Ross and Francis. How are you both?
Oh, very good.
Apoplectic, but
Very good.
equally pleased.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of things to discuss again, but we spoke about it last night. I mean, how close, by the way, was my prediction to coming true when I said hypothetically, what if Ross County get a penalty kick that never was, and we don't recover, and it
Yeah.
nearly happened by a ball there. We got the win,
You're
even though
right.
we were on top for most of that game. But again, in the comments, we were already flooded with people. Stubbsy's horse, he made it. Kaiser's in. Ryan Kelly's in, John's in, Danny Boy's in, comments were flying, and we're going to discuss the elephant that's in many rooms, including these ladders behind me, to help Rangers climb back up the table. So they are, but do you know what I mean? It's VAR's an absolute shambles. But before we get into it, Ross, coming to you first, buddy. Celtic 2-1 victory. A game, I mean, we kind of expected last night we would win comfortably, but didn't turn out like that. And as we always say, games like that make champions. Haksabanovic and Turnbull, two goals. The scrappy from Turnbull, Tate with brilliant play, but it's just good to get the victory, get into this break. 9 points, we're on cloud nine, we're clear.
It's outstanding. I actually forgot Rangers were playing the early kick-off today. Franny reminded me when St Mirren went up 1-0. But I think that's, since VARs came in, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've won Harry Potter.
Leave this place alone. It's a sanctuary of love.
No, but correct me if I'm wrong here. Since VARs came in, I think other than maybe one game, we've won every game by the odd goal.
Yeah.
And other than the game against Hearts, they've been pretty comfortable wins. We've dominated the game. You look at the St Johnstone game. In fact, was that in? Was VAR in when St Johnstone? No, wasn't he?
I think so. I think that was maybe the last
No,
game,
wasn't
mate.
it? So, talk's right there. But you look at that. We've won them by an odd goal, but we've won them comfortably all the time. And it was the same the day again. Comfortable win, even though it was by an odd goal.
Yep.
But it's no coincidence that we've won these games comfortably by an odd goal, and it's to do with VAR. Like, if VAR wasn't in, we'd win these games comfortably, and it wouldn't be by an odd goal. Now, we're probably going to go into the decision, so I'll leave that now. But we've won the game. We've played not to our levels, but better than the last two games. Controlled the game. I think on the face of it, Kyogo, not got a problem with him. I thought he played pretty well today, but I think that game was, the way it was shaping up in the first half, I thought it was more of a Giacomakis game, and we needed to get Jota on the park. But regardless of that, Ange didn't do that. He's a Celtic manager, I'm not, for a reason. And we still came out with the 3 points.
100%. I think you're right to allude to the fact that in the first half there was a lot of wasted crosses, especially from Ralston, and at the right hand side especially there was a lot of wasted opportunities getting into the box and trying to get it in quick for Franny, for example. Giacomakis probably would have attacked a few of them balls himself with the head. But I mean, you look at the game in a whole, and Ross, you're right in the fact that it's been comfortable. Although, to be fair, O'Reilly admitted today, and as obviously his post-match, it wasn't obviously the best-looking game. A lot of decisions and stuff like that. And I love his wee coach saying they can't stop us anyway, so it's all right. So, you know what I mean, referring to the VAR. But, 2-1, 9 points clear. I mean, do you know what I mean? That's a great-looking table at the moment to go into this World Cup with.
Well, I said to my dad that if we win our 3 games leading up to the World Cup, that we would be clear. I didn't think we'd be 9 points clear. I thought Rangers would only drop points in one game, but just shows you they dropped it in 2 games. And I think when I think
confidence.
The key thing is obviously like when Rangers did drop points earlier on the day, you're going to that game knowing we've got a chance to extend our lead. And sometimes you get games like the day when you've got that chance to extend your lead and put it like 7 points is pretty comfortable. I think the way we're playing and how Rangers are playing, but to be 9 points, I know it's only 2, but it looks a lot better. It's essentially 3 defeats to their 3 wins that you're looking at. I know, and so it's key just to get the 3 points in days like the day. We said it after the Hearts game. We said it after Dundee United and things like that when they had dropped points. That these are the games that win the championships. That's been a massive 2 weeks that we've taken really right advantage of them dropping points. So it's all good, Stephen. It's scrappy-ish game, but we showed composure. I think the 2 goals. I don't think Turnbull's goals anything but scrappy for me. But we'll get into that. I think the 2 goals are really, really good goals. Nobody seems to snatch it anything. But 9 points clear, Stephen. Fantastic.
Yeah. When I said scrappy, I mean, kind of go back to what I meant. I meant Rio's bit of play was excellent, and like Turnbull getting that finish through the legs from the other keeper who I thought again had a great game for Ross County. But you mentioned the lunchtime game, Franny, and he's right in a way, Ross, because you let that kind of slip into your mindset. The Dave's dropped points. By the way, I mean, it should have been 3 points dropped, if we're honest here. I don't think that was a penalty kick that they should have received. I've watched it back on numerous occasions, and your man's went in for the tackle. He's moved his leg back again just at the final moment when Kent is fallen over his foot, and they get the penalty, of course. I mean, the referee nearly choked his whistle. So, and obviously they get the point to kind of save face and away to St Mirren, and we know what it's like where we got beat, albeit a blip at St Mirren Park for ourselves. It's a continuing trend for Gio and the wee birds at the moment. But coming back to yourself, Ross, in terms of that mindset thing, what I'm loving about this team, and I think Postecoglou as well, I'd be pretty sure before that game, he probably would have said, put that to the back of your mind. Don't get complacent. Get into this game, win it, get the 3 points. And effectively, that's what happened, because we had to come through a lot of shit in this game. If we're honest, if we're going to the first goal, O'Reilly in the interview said he doesn't know what else he could do. I really don't understand it. And we spoke about this last night. You go back to Michael Smith, you look at the Burnaby handball that was given. You look at the Ben Davis one he got away with against Hearts. They literally cleared his hand, like, do you know what I mean? And then you fast forward to 9, O'Reilly's getting the handball given against him because the ball bounced off the ground and it tipped his wee fingers. Like, it's absolutely incredible. Do you know what I mean? And the how fast that referee actually stopped that game to check the VAR, and then it was straight to the penalty spot. And one of the most annoying things for me is they don't even check the monitor. This is a game-changing decision, and Munro, Welsh, McLean, whoever it may be, they don't even go and look at the VAR monitor for themselves to make a decision, and it's purely disgusting. Do you know what I mean? It can't happen. It can't keep going like this. And we talked about it last night. Is this another case of Celtic going to have to ask another question again? Because it's the trend that keeps going in.
Well, it's another thing to put into the body evidence. But there's a band called the Toasters that sing a song called "Don't Let the Bastards Grind You Down," and it's no more fitting now than it has ever been since VAR came in. It's outrageous. But I mean, I like to compare the Burnaby one to the Davies one, right, the other night. And I know there's more than just Celtic and Rangers now, but that's the games that we mostly see, right?
Yeah.
So I like to now compare the O'Reilly one the day against the one at Tynecastle. The one at Tynecastle, they don't give the penalty, and they don't look at it. They don't look at the VAR. The one today, for me, is less of a penalty again. It's unbelievable. I don't even know. It's actually up for debate if Matt O'Reilly is even in the box.
Aye.
Right? But that's ignored. That he's in the box. That's irrelevant. That's what they say. And then it comes up and hits his hand. And you can't see my hands, but they're at his side. The same as the Hearts player. Now, I've not got a problem with them giving that decision against Celtic today, right? Absolutely no problem with it, right? If that's the way Ken's it, if that's the way they want to imply the rules, if that's what they've been told, then that is absolutely fair enough. I don't like it, but if they're going to do it like that, then carry on. But do not not give us a penalty at Tynecastle 3 weeks ago or whatever it was, and then give that against us. That's the issue. That's the problem, and it's fucking shite.
It's the consistency levels for me as well, Ross. I mean, you look at the decisions, and by the way, we're not discounting every other club in the league. They probably had decisions the same kind of way that went against them. Let's put it further. But Franny, you look at it, and even already said we've had some strange decisions go against us. So the players notice it, the fans notice it, and the pundits, albeit on Celtic TV or whatever you watch it on, they notice it too, regardless of allegiance to the club. And it is very, very telling that the referees just take the word of the VAR official, Ewan Anderson in this case. I thought it was an absolute disgrace. They didn't have the decency or refereeing professional kind of environment to go over and look at the VAR monitor. Even though you know in the back of your mind what happens when they go there anyway, the decision is always 9 times out of 10 going to be that penalty kick or going to be that red card. But even to go over and look at it for himself and see what's actually happened. Already, there was 3 players around that player, the Ross County player at that point. They were all going for the ball, being careful, by the way, in the way they were challenging, because they knew any kind of touch, there's that COVID call, they knew any kind of touch that it would be a penalty kick. And then hits off his hand, whatever it may be, onto his hip the hand, whatever. He doesn't even know. Straight away, it's a penalty. We're a goal down, effectively. It's a shambles. And I'm very vocal about it because it pisses me off that it's week after week now since this VAR has been introduced. It's been a shit show. The referees aren't fit to handle it. They aren't professional themselves. The VAR equipment is probably more professional than they'll ever be in terms of what it can provide in terms of decisions.
That's
but
debatable.
Well, you know what I mean. In terms of obviously, they've got stills, man. They should be able to focus on a game, get a crayon and draw around an incident. It shouldn't be that hard for them.
They've been focused on the bench this camera.
Aye, well, exactly. It's not shambolic. And again, by the way, Michael McDonald comes in, and I want to come to you first, Ronnie. If that was a handball, the push in the back for Ralston for me is a penalty. And I know you were doing this, but 10 minutes later, a Celtic striker pushed a Ross County defender in the box and was given a free kick for them. So the consistency levels have to be shown. And this VAR crap, it either improves or it gets pulled because it's shambolic at the moment.
I think, I mean, like you have said, me and Ross and Anthony talked about it on after the Bernabeu one. I think we're actually clueless to the actual handball rule now, because what is O'Reilly meant to do with his hands there? Where can they go? And like, I'm with Ross. I think it's up for debate of whether he's in the box or not at the time it hits his hand. And I'm sure it hits his hip on his hand. And I thought that sort of a deflection meant it was obviously if his hand's out in an unnatural position, then yeah, penalty. But it's down by his side. It's deflected off his hip onto him. And I suppose if you want to credit the ref, he gave the penalty and then went to the monitor and never changed his mind, which is rare. But did we ever expect him to change his mind?
Well, it was going against Celtic, so there's a first time for everything, eh?
I know. So I suppose you've got to. We've all been asking the referees to have a wee bit of backbone and stick to the original decision. So he did, but it's absolutely baffling how he can look at that monitor and give the penalty and like actually get
what is it? Are you referring to the one today?
Did he know give the penalty then look at the monitor?
He didn't go to the monitor. He didn't go to the monitor. No,
but
you've just made that up for the last 2 minutes.
They never told him to go to the monitor, but that was an issue because it was up for debate. No, don't go to the monitor. It's penalty, mate. Right, that's fine.
But we'll just forget everything I just said because I was talking. Let's just talk about the Ralston one.
I'm nodding away to.
I'm going to my mind. What is he talking about? I was questioning my own sanity, being like, "What is going on?" But Franny
was watching the Stalybridge Celtic game when we were watching the Celtic game.
Rewind it, right? Start with the incident itself and the events that led to that penalty kick. You start from there again. Forget the monitor shake. That never happened.
On you, boy.
Let's just stick with not being a penalty because I won't talk as much shit if I just go with that. No, definitely not penalty. I don't know where his hands are meant to go, and I think it's debatable whether he's in the box or no. But it's one of the ones. But the referee did have a wee think about it because he didn't blow instantly. But I think when he's obviously had his time to think about it, which as a way as a good thing. You're like, well, you're not just jumping to conclusions, even though you've got VAR to fall back on. But he said that we thought about it, but then obviously VAR's had a look at him and went, aye, you're right. Maybe just say to him, I know you're a wee bit undecided. You seem to take your time. Maybe want to come on the monitor and have a look at it. Then my whole hang 2 minutes ago might have made a lot of sense. That would have had a wee bit of relevance. But to then go about the Ralston one, I understand the arguments. I think the way Ralston's fell has maybe I would have been raging if Celtic got a penalty gave against them for that. But I understand what you're saying, because Giakoumakis has one where he's done a similar sort of a thing and it's a foul.
Yeah.
And maybe, like you say, it's the consistency. Go and have a look at the monitor. But then the referee's no gave a penalty, and he's probably got to look at the monitor, then give a penalty, because like we say, they usually change their mind, and I think it'd have been shocking to get a penalty for that. But what I just thought was great is, again, we had a decision that very, very questionable decision, a terrible decision go against us, but the team just stayed composed. It was stick to the game plan. We know where we are. Plenty of time left in the game. We'll know we'll get chances, and I think the goals epitomise that, because nobody once snatched at anything for their 2 goals.
Yeah, I mean, see, to be fair,
no penalties, Stephen. And they looked at a monitor.
Look, I agree with the Ralston to an extent, but the way I'm basing that off is Ross's argument about consistency. If you're drawing the rules for a handball situation or a penalty kick situation in the box, Ross, you need to be level the whole time and give them regardless, and then wait for a rule change later down the line if enough clubs complain against that particular rule. But the way I'm looking at it, when that penalty was given, me and McGranda, he's just down there in his office at the moment, as you can see. But me and McGranda, we were watching the game. McGranda, my wee brother as well. Who, by the way, McGranda predicted the score right 2-1, so shout out to her. But we were looking, and we didn't even react in terms of anger towards that decision, and that for me just points to that just points to the environment, Ross, that we're in. And yeah, it does say it all. And even the players, to me, didn't really react to it. Like, yeah, at the time, obviously a bit of emotion, but it just calmed down. And as Franny said, they stuck to the game plan. It's like they factored this in. And how on earth is that normal? I just don't understand. They've paid it. Well, we've paid all this money.
Roy Keane there.
We've paid all this. We've paid all this money for the equipment, for all these cameras, funded most of it, but we're getting absolute shit out of it.
I mean, I don't know what more to say. I think me and you discussed it at length last night and said all that needs to be said. I think when you look at Matt O'Reilly's interview, everything he said, you've touched on it there, but he also said we've had a lot of strange decisions go against us this last wee while. I think that speaks volumes. He's not saying outright that we are being cheated, there is bias or anything like that, but he's alluding to the fact that we are not getting decisions, and decisions that should go our way, we are not getting either. I'm not asking to give us decisions.
No one's asking that. No one's asking.
I know that. I know. If it's a penalty against us, and it should be, give it.
Yeah.
If it's a penalty for us, and it should be, give it. In terms of the Ralston one, for me, it's not a penalty. I get people talk about consistency and stuff like that. I get where you're coming from there, Stephen. But for as long as I've watched football, a foul like that, or a challenge like that, no, a foul on Ralston in the box, you're not getting that. Every day of the week, you're not getting it. But the one when Haksabanovic doesn't touch the Ross County player and he goes down, he's a defender. Yep. You're getting it all day long, and it frustrates the life out of me. I've said it. I don't know if I've said it in the podcast, but I've spoken about it to you guys countless times. It boils my... I look at decisions like that, and I think, has a referee, any referee, watched a game of football or played a game of football? Because if you've played a game of football, you know Haksabanovic has got no gain to foul him there. He's put him under pressure. He's going nowhere. That defender is trying to buy a foul because he's in trouble. Stop buying the guys through his cell to the ground. But they do every single time. It's like an unwritten rule if the defender goes... Sorry, Steve. It's like an unwritten rule. If the defender goes down the box and he's facing his own goal, it's a foul.
Yeah.
Even if you know that he's through his cell to the ground. And it's an unwritten rule. If a attacking player goes down and he's been touched, it's not if it's the same foul or it's the same perceived foul, but one isn't and one is. It's just the way football is. I'll never get it. I'll never understand it. It shouldn't be like that, but it is.
Yeah, and I mean, Danielle comes in. I don't know if this is tongue in cheek here, but David Remote, the ref today, was in my maths class. He's a Catholic Celtic supporter. Well, he certainly didn't show up today. Get on the phone.
I believe that, by the way. That sounds true.
But see, to be fair, like, you look at our family, going with the trend you did there, Ross, in terms of what Hacks of Benefit's done and how that player claimed that foul off him. When, by the way, he literally dipped his body out away from contact and it was still given. Shambolic. But let's talk about the two rule changes that happened today during this football match. The rule of the player for the Ross County doesn't have to go off when he's injured. He stayed on the pitch. So it's madness. And then Ross Laidlaw just put the ball down, moved it a couple of yards, picked it back up again. Mental, like, that should be an indirect free kick, and the player for Ross County should have been away off the other side of the pitch receiving treatment and then waved back on like all our players were today. If you notice, Giakoumakis in the 90th minute had blood coming from his nose. He was up, he was ready to go, he was ordered off, then he came back on. I mean, come on, incompetence at its finest there, like.
Well, it was the first one, the goalkeeping one. Like, I didn't even know about that. I'm not even going to sit here and try and explain it, but I'll trust you that it should have been a back pass. But
of course it should have been. He's put the ball down, Franny.
I'm not saying I didn't know that rule. To me, I just thought you can pick it up and put it down, but it makes sense.
That you basketball?
Well, they bounce it in basketball.
Oh, you know what I mean.
Aye, you can't do that, Franny.
Aye, but that's what I'm saying. So I didn't know that. So it's one of them, but it makes sense why you can't, because you could obviously just keep putting it in, picking it up, keep doing, putting it up. Yeah. But then I think the referee, like they said in the commentary, I think he's taking the easy route out and gave a foul against Maeda, which is just never a foul. I think that's he's copped out. He's like, oh, I should really be in Celtic. I've made an arse of this here, but my way out is instead of doing the right thing, I'm going to get a foul against Maeda. Now the one where the St Mirren player goes off, I'm sure they brought in a rule a couple of years ago, because so see when a player gets injured and the trainer comes on, like the physios come on, you're not really gaining the advantage if your player then goes off. You're the one with the foul. So I think when your player got cautioned, whether it be a booking or got a red card, I think if the physio comes on, your players are allowed to stay on the park, providing the
in terms of if the Celtic player gets cautioned, you mean?
Aye, so did they see how Haxavanovich?
Aye, because
strangely got booked for, like, you can't just stumble into somebody in that these days. Because obviously that boy was doing injured, Haxavanovich challenge, and then Haxavanovich got booked. I think that type of situation, the Ross County boy is allowed to stay on, whereas obviously the Celtic one, nobody was booked, so he has to go off. It's still stupid because we've got the foul.
I get that.
It sounds stupid because we've still got the foul, but I'm sure obviously if the player that makes the foul gets carded in some form, then you're allowed to stay on. I think it was obviously to try and help you gain the advantage of you having that free kick, because it shouldn't be fair that you're down a player when you've actually gained the free kick. But it was just, I think the goalkeeping one, it was ridiculous, but I think the referee had a multitude of mental decisions today. There was a lot of decisions that were questionable, but the players gone off. I'm sure that's how. I think that was all right.
Yeah, I mean, Steve McCall, to be honest, Franny, every single game a player gets treatment, I remember seeing them go off. Didn't know this was rule. I mean, it's new to me. If it is a rule, fair enough. But I mean, Ross, looking at it from the outside in, it was shambolic the way it happened. I mean, the whole Ross Laidlaw thing. And Franny right to point out he did the easy way out and give a foul for Maeda that happened literally a minute earlier. It's just craziness. I mean, there should be a January transfer windows for referees. That would be absolutely brilliant. Just put them all out as free agents. But we'll move on. We've talked about the VAR, and your man Monroe, who's a Celtic supporter, not a Celtic supporter, will never know because it was absolutely shambolic. And we'll touch upon the goals, and we'll start with the Turnbull one. The man who was influencing the whole game for me, Riho Atate, absolutely fantastic player. He is absolutely, he's just incredible sometimes. The way he can pull the ball out, literally one touch, he's away. He can dip his body in, he can move, he can shimmy, he can run. Even your man Dominic Samuel got fed up with him when he came on for Ross County and trailed him like a rugby player. Do you know what I mean? Then squared up to him because he was making an absolute fool of him. But just touch upon Rio, mate, and the goal from Turnbull to start with.
I thought he had a really good game. Again, I didn't think he was absolutely outstanding. I don't think the team was outstanding there. I thought they played pretty well.
Yeah.
But I thought probably Hatate was the best player on the pitch for Celtic. Best player on the pitch for both teams. And just, I think Franny had sort of touched on it in the group chat during the game. Just the composure, because he sort of lets the ball come across him, if I remember right, and just that one movement sort of takes out a couple of defenders.
Yeah.
And it's the composure, and then he comes in and he squares it across, and it's one of the balls that could deflect. It's the only ball he can play, to be fair, but it can deflect off a defender and go, and it can go anywhere. It falls to Turnbull, and I think he takes a touch in that tight area. Listen, we can all hate Moy and all the rest of it, and all say Turnbull's maybe no good enough for Celtic. And these two guys didn't get in our first choice midfield three, but I'll tell you what, they do a job when they come in. They absolutely do a job. They are no quality players, I can't say that, but Turnbull's a quality player. They are. They've got quality, and they do a job for this team. And certainly domestically, I'm not saying that they could be the guys that come in and play against your Real Madrids, etc. Even their first choice are no guys that can dominate against teams like that. But in the SPL, when you're missing Cal McGregor, when you're missing Cal McGregor, guys like that, Aaron Moy comes in, he does a job on Wednesday night. David Turnbull comes in, he came on Wednesday night, he set up a goal, I'm sure, if I mind right. These guys are invaluable to the squad.
Mm-hmm.
And composure. David Turnbull done us a turn the first half of last season when nobody gave us a chance. He scored goals for Celtic that were so important to win us a league title. He's a quality football player. Is he as good as Rio Hatate? Is he as good as Cal McGregor? Matt O'Reilly? Probably not. But I'll tell you, fucking Rangers would take him in their midfield right now.
You're about Turnbull, yeah?
Aye, talking about Turnbull.
100%. 100%. Turnbull would start for most of the SPFL team, bar, well, as quality you said, player. Squad player for us, but he would be a quality player for any other team. Again, just a wee shout out to our show sponsors, as you can see, Beer 52, Beer 52 /Celts, get your free case of beer, cover the postage, and then it's a subscription based after that, but you can cancel anytime. Cracking offer, loads of fantastic beers. We magazine if you're into reading all fun and games and all stuff, really. But I mean, if you look at it in terms of that, as Ross said, like Turnbull coming into the game, and he started ahead of Moy. Done what Moy didn't do and actually scored an important goal for us, which was fantastic. Rio, as we touched upon, I'll never ever get on the Moy train. No way. But like Rio Hatate, absolutely brilliant today. Turnbull popping up, coming in out of the cold, basically after coming back from injury, getting a few minutes here and there. But they both played really well, in my opinion.
I thought in the second half, like in the first half, Rio Hatate was picking up the ball and doing, like you say, nice wee turns, nice touches to get away and get us up the park and things. I thought Turnbull actually did have a good game, and after his goal, you seen it really gave him the confidence from him. Just Sean, he was taking the ball, playing passes, and he was popping up in some good areas and stuff. But I thought the goal was really, really good. Like Ross said, Hatate gets it on the edge of the box, just drops his shoulder, but then goes the other way, and about 3 players just fall to the ground. Now we're down 1-0. I appreciate there's plenty of time left in the game, but maybe he could take a shot, and the box is still heavily packed. That it's got to be lucky to actually get a goal there.
yes, Charles.
He's got to be lucky to actually get a goal there, but then he takes that extra touch to give him that yard of space where he can look up. Like Ross said, it's the only cross he's got is playing it low, firing it low across the deck, and he's obviously aiming for a Celtic player, but you're also doing that and hoping for the best. Going, well, it might take a deflection, might get a corner, or it might flick up, and the defender knows he has to clear, and it scores an OG. But then Turnbull to have the composure only a couple of yards out, where again, as I said, the box is still heavily packed. There's folk round about, and we're needing a goal. Want back in it, because the longer you go into a game like that, no getting the goal back, maybe frustration starts creeping in. You do start latching at things, but it takes that touch to compose yourself and just passes it in the box. And then I think just straight after that, it was total reset, and it was like, right, back to level. Let's go again and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think how quick we got back the goals was key. And I mean, Ross County, they were all, when they obviously scored, they were always got to sit in, and I think that helped us as well, in the sense that when your mindset when you're there is to sit in, soak up pressure, then Celtic get a goal back. It's hard to then come out when we've got our tails up and stuff. So it kind of helped us the way they were just sitting in and things like that. And obviously when we got the second goal, it was just the same. It was obviously harder for them to come out then. But
You said earlier on, Franny, to be fair, that we actually stuck to the game plan instead of getting emotional about the decision. We hunkered down, stuck to a
I think if you look at Joe Hart, like you said, I think going totally back to this, guys like Joe Hart and that were laughing when they got the penalty and that. They just, I think the players
I think
a wee bit now.
They have to have spoke about that since because I think we talked. I don't know if it was. I can't mind who was on after the Dundee United game. It might well have been me. I can't mind. But I said in the group chat after the Dundee United game that we looked deflated after that decision. And we did, and it showed in the performance. But then I think the day it was different because it was another one of the, it wasn't as bad as the Bernabei decision, don't get me wrong, right? But it was another one of the contentious ones. But they didn't go flat this time. The crowd didn't even go flat this time. I think the crowd had we've sort of accepted that now. We've seen what happened last week. It was the worst of the worst. Mm-hmm. The crowd didn't go flat and the team didn't go flat. They would have spoke about that after the Dundee United game. That was a poor decision. We went flat. They poor decisions, we all know, are going to come again. I said it last night. One of these poor decisions are going to cost us in a game. They will. Low averages. But it's not going to cost us the league title because this team just don't accept defeat. And I'll go back to it again. We don't let the bastards keep grind us down.
I think, to be fair, O'Reilly kind of referenced that as well, Ross. You know what I mean? What he was trying to say in his post-match conference. But Franny, Haksabanovic, couple of 3 goals now in his last few starts for Celtic. He looks like he's coming back into a game, getting assists, getting involved in the play. I thought the goal, to be fair, Rio involved the game. He's involved left, right, and centre. Bit of a dummy from him. The 1-2. Haksabanovic uses the pitch. The curl on it was fantastic. Laidlaw had no chance, and that was kind of, for me, it was just relief when that goal went in. It was pure relief because you're chasing the game at that point. We're stuck to it, and we got our rewards.
It was a wee bit of relief for myself, Stephen. I get what you're coming for there, and like I said, it was so quick as well after the tumble goal, which I liked as well. So it got you.
Yes, Kaiser. Yes.
Yes. Baby, he's a legend, man. I love that guy. I
would love to be in that guy's head for an hour, man.
100%.
Oh man. But,
I'd love to be his background.
I just like Haksabanovic. I really, really think we've got a special player in our hands. And I said, after the Dundee United game when it was on the podcast, that I think they 2 goals the World Cup break, the break coming up is maybe coming at the wrong time for him because he's just properly kicking on and stuff. And I think he's got really nice feet in that, and he obviously had the night, just stands the defender up well and then just plays that wee pass to Hatate, and Hatate's just, the cushion ball is just perfect, absolutely perfect, and it just curls onto it. It just curls on. It was almost like it was a weird goal in a way. There was obviously a lot of swerve in it, but it didn't look like it. It was like a boy who just played 10-pin bowling or something. The way it just curled in, and just it must be some skill to get swerve like that and the ball not come off the deck. if that makes it. You
Yeah.
didn't really see people strike a ball like that on the deck, and you seen him after it. It was almost like, I know I can do this. Like he is. I think he's got a wee bit of arrogance about him, which is good. I like that, but I was really impressed with. Like I've said it plenty of times. I like Haxabanis. I think he's a proper European level type player. Was it you that says we got him for about 2 million, just under 2 million or something? I appreciate it's a lot of the loopholes with what's going over in Russia and things like that, but that's madness that we've got this guy for 5 years, and that's what we paid for him.
What I loved about the goal, like there was no like uplift, or it was just pure swerve. It wasn't the hardest strike in the world, but the way the grass took it and just curled around and kissed the post.
I would love to see. I hope Celtic's unique angle as you see it from behind the goal, because it must go outside the post a good wee bit, because the keeper looks like he's got that side covered a wee bit. So it's a really good goal. And like it's a quick reply, gets ahead quick, so it just calms any nerves in the crowd that can then maybe find its way onto the pitch.
Because that was my worry in case that did seep in, but it really didn't. Ross was right.
No, Ross was bang on, and I think a lot of that is down to how the game, like it sometimes can go either way. But obviously they dropped points earlier in the day, and we're sitting drawn at the time. And I think even when we went down, lost the goal, I think the crowd did play their part then, knowing like we've got a big opportunity to go 9 points. There's no point getting on the team and mumping and growing. So I do think the crowd played a big part. Like after the goal, then like obviously after equalising, it was like no decision was really getting, like didn't hear big groans going up or things like that. It was, everybody was behind the team because they knew it was a massive, right before the World Cup, it's a massive chance to be 9 points clear. So it's like getting on the team has got to do them naked at all.
And we are 9 points clear, and it feels fucking fantastic, unbelievable. And see, to be fair, I think as well, Ross, a big factor in Haxabanic's performances for me in this game in particular against Ross County, Burnaby. I thought Burnaby was excellent. I thought he broke up the play, he broke the lines, and yes, he does make mistakes for Annie Hearns of Groningen. But one thing he does do, he keeps coming back, he keeps trying it again, and 9 times out of 10 he'll get there at the end. And there was one point in the first half, Ross, where he took the ball and just ran the whole pitch, just to get up the pitch. And I thought it was just fantastic. Him and Haksabanovic seem to have a good wee link up going. And I'm not saying for 1 second, for anyone asks me about Gregory Taylor's position, because it's still his, if we're honest here. And by the way, you said no one said your print on the wall. There's Michael McDonald for us, top print on the wall, Ross. It's been called out.
First time.
People know it now. People know it.
Cheers, Michael.
But come into yourself to kind of talk about the Haksabanovic goal, and Burnaby if you want to. But me and Franny were saying the way that ball just rolled on the grass, kissed the post, and went in, and it was a perfect way to get in front in that game.
Well, touching on the goal first, it was Haksabanovic for me. I've said it previously, and I think everybody that's watched Celtic agrees that he's a very, very good player. And he is. We've got two players sort of like him and Jota. He's more dynamic. Let's be real, and he's got more skill. But they are the two guys that you would say in the team that they're beating a man. You could bring James Forrest into that equation as well. Then you've got guys like Maeda and Abada who come into they don't beat men, but they get themselves into positions. Mm-hmm. Maeda works hard. Abada has got an instinct to get into positions. So we've got so much variety. But I think Haksabanovic is, I think Franny said it before, he's a European quality player. I think he's a player that we can trust to play in Europe. There's guys like, I don't even want to say, I was going to say there's guys like Maeda and Abada, maybe can't quite trust yet. But you can trust Maeda in defensive wise and stuff like that. But only a wee bit of tangent. In terms of the goal, it's just Haksabanovic. He's got his tail up now. He's got confidence, and that finish, like to adjust his body slightly, it was just a great finish. I actually thought it was going by the post, and when it went in, my wife looked at me like I was a fucking nutter, by the way. But it was pure like elation because what would they come through again? again, I'll say it, the decision, okay, give it, but give the one at Hearts. But to come through that sort of adversity again, he came up with that moment that's won us the game. And in my elation, I dived up off the couch and I'd done a Klinsman on the wooden floor. I don't know why I'd done it. That's what I done. I done a Klinsman. I went, yes, and then I just threw myself onto the floor and done a Klinsman. And Sharon was like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't actually know, but that's just what my body made me do. But I done that. But it was a brilliant finish. And for me, it looks like it's going by the post all the way, but it finds the far corner. And it gives us a 9-point lead. And we're still in November. I know we're going into the break now, but 9 points. Said it last night. I said last night, if somebody had said 7 points going into that break, we've now got 9 points. They're in absolute disarray. We are not playing amazing at this point in the campaign, but we're still winning games. Winning. That's what we're built on, and that's what we're doing. Moving on to Bernabei. For me, I think he looks so raw. It's not true sometimes defensively, but I have to go. Like I'm not going to slag the guy. We all know. I know. By the way, he's fucking no wrong. I couldn't get up off the flare. I called for the physio. But Bernabei, I'm not going to slag that guy, right? Because he's come in, and any time he's come in, he's done a job. Certainly going forward, and he's suited for games at Celtic Park.
Yeah,
Greg Taylor's got the jersey now, absolutely. But what I will say in his defence is, Greg Taylor in the early part of last season, trying to come to terms with what we never start. I like it. Greg Taylor in the early part of last season, right, trying to come to terms with his new role, the inverted fullback and stuff like that. He'd never played it before. He was getting caught out at times defensively, and everybody alluded to it. I'm a lover of Greg Taylor, so I didn't jump on him. I'm no, I don't love Bernabei as much as I loved Greg Taylor this time last year, but I'm understanding that I don't think he's getting caught out. I just think defensively he's a wee bit inept, a wee bit to learn yet. But in terms of going forward, he's really, really good. And I think he's a really good understudy to Greg Taylor right now. And once he learns the role and he gets better defensively, if he can get up to the same level defensively as Greg Taylor, then he could absolutely take his jersey because going forward, he's dynamic, he's really good. What was that comment there? I seen my name.
It's today Robbie Keane celebration next time.
Oh God, no.
So Ross, you got very paranoid there, didn't you?
No, I knew it was a nice thing, but I just hadn't read it. Well, Monty's knowing the comments. Everyone else is nice apart from him. He's ruthless, that guy.
See, touching on a few other people in the team, Franny, today. And I mean, to be fair, Ross, Burnaby is raw. I'll give you 100%. But what I love about Burnaby, he doesn't hide in the pits. He's never one to shy away from taking the ball in tight areas and trying to play intricate play with Haksabanovic or Jada, whoever it may be on the left. And yeah, we all know Taylor's number one, but effectively, Burnaby's were brought in because Postecoglou likes to look of him. And we know some of the players take more time. We've seen that, for examples, in some of our team at the moment. And maybe Burnaby's just one of the players. But I mean, this might sound bad, right, Franny? But I thought Ralston was poor today. I didn't think he looked himself. Yeah, listen, he got an amazing challenge in at the final couple of minutes that they were on the breakaway. Fantastic. The crowd were all celebrating that. But his crossing, his link-up play, miscontrolling balls, and a couple of misplaced passes in the first half, didn't think he was great. And for me, I'm asking, why is Juranovic not starting that game? Because he's been on an upward kind of trajectory last couple of games, getting back to where he used to be, in my opinion. But yeah, Ralston, for me, wasn't that great. What about yourself?
I understand what you're saying. I don't think Juranovic has been on an upward trajectory, and I'm one of Juranovic's biggest fans. I think I honestly don't think he's been great lately. I think he's still, as stupid as it sounds, still he's our first choice right back, but it's Ralston's jersey to Lawson now, if that makes any sort of sense. I think Ralston has been playing a lot better recently.
You think Ralston's first choice?
No, not well. The now, yes, but I think if it's both on form, Juranovic is a better player. For me, there's no debate about it. But I do understand what you're saying with Ralston today. I thought it was wasteful at times in possession. Defensively, I thought it was sound. I don't think you can question him defensively today. He did lost the ball a couple of times, but I felt he recovered well and won it back. And similarly, like what you were saying to Bernabe, like he never had for the ball. As much as things weren't happening for Ralston today, I felt like his crosses weren't great. Sometimes his passing wasn't great, but he always offered himself up that line. I mean, like 90 odd minutes, he's still doing overlapping runs. You're still seeing him try to get crosses in. So I maybe wasn't his greatest game, but I don't think he was. I wasn't too bothered by him. It was one of the ones where the game, it was a type of game it was, I think, and it was. But I thought defensively, Ralston was sound, and again, never actually had for the game. He was always looking for the ball. But I will agree, like some of his passing and his crossing wasn't great today, but I wouldn't have said it was rubbish.
I mean, that's fair enough. I'm just looking from my point of view. Everyone has different opinions. And out of the team, Ross, even in the last game, we talked about it. There was a lot of disjointed performances against Motherwell. I think it kind of crept in bits and starts in this game. But the fact that we got that win and Shea comes in, the hoops and the wee hoops winning today is fantastic. Both on top of the league. That's a shout out to the Celtic, one of our show partners, who are sitting pretty at the top of their table. The big hoops are sitting 9 points ahead on the SPFL as well, so it's great. I mean, effectively, you look at it and we could question performances and stuff, right? We can go into it, and see, to be fair as well, Jens for me looked far better than Starfelt during the week until he got injured. I thought it looked more comfortable, more natural. But Starfelt came in and had a good game as well. So there's just different opinions of things, and people are saying in here, John saying he's lucky he's not on because he'd be shouting about Ralston. But yeah, Ralston. He did recover well, he did, but I'm just on about other factors of his performances. But for you, Ross, any other glaring issues today that you want to talk about in terms of the team?
Well, touching on the Jens one, I agree with you on that. I thought he looked. I think he looks more comfortable than Starfelt. But I have to say, when Starfelt came on the day, he was excellent. And
he was.
There was one point where he took the ball in. I think it was the second half. He takes the ball in, and Ross County players are sort of. It's not a full press, but they're pushing in, and I'm thinking to myself, you need to go back to the goalie. That's the only pass it's on, and he sprays one right across the park, and I think it goes to Ralston, and it totally negates the Ross County press. It takes out the game and we're on the attack. So he showed today that he's got that in his locker. And I just think, you asked me last night, would you sign Jens?
Yeah.
And I said aye. And I still, obviously, it was only last night. I still stand by that. Nothing's
that was a quick turnaround, Ross.
But what I'm going to say is, it's like most of the positions on the park now. And I think the way Ange talks and the job that he's done since he came in, that the board will back him to do it. That's what we're going to be like all over the park. We're sitting here now, right, and we're talking about a centre half partnership where we can have Carter Vickers and Jens, or it's always going to be Carter Vickers or Carter Vickers and Starfelt, right? Jens has got injured, then we brought Starfelt on, and it's not changed the team drastically. Years gone by, you would have had, I don't know, try to think back, like you would have had Virgil van Dijk, right, and you would Boyata's there, right? I mean, you take Boyata off and you bring on fucking, I can't even mind, but it's no that it's no that level of depth, right? I've said it before. We've struggled to get a proper centre half in since Virgil van Dijk, but we're now sitting with Carter Vickers, and we can bring in Jens or Starfelt. I think that's healthy, a healthy position centre half wise for us to be in. We're now talking about this Kobayashi. Have I said that
Yeah.
right? Right, coming in. But also, at the moment, we don't have him, right? So that's not a given. But we have Welsh that can come in, and he can absolutely do a job domestically. So right now in the centre half position, we're pretty good, and you can't complain. My preference, personally, I would lean towards Jens now, and I know Starfelt has built up an amazing partnership with CCV and gave us a league title last season. But for me, the way Celtic play, the way Ange wants us to play, I think Jens is more suited. I think he's because over the piece. I mean, because Celtic are going to have most of the ball against most of the teams in our league, whether it be home or away. And I think if we're going to have most of the ball, then we need guys that can play with the ball the best. For me, that's Jens.
Yeah.
Games like, I don't know, Ross County away, for instance, Ibrox, just for examples. Starfelt, you might want to go with him in games like that because he's physicality. But for me, over the piece, my preference would be Jens.
Yeah, to be fair, Jens looked far more comfortable in that type of scenario because he can play that left-sided pass without looking awkward about it. We all know Starfelt. He's been a great partner for Carter Figures, and when he comes in, he was excellent today. He proved that up against their physical kind of presence. Even though he kept falling to the ground, holding his head, rolling about, putting on 2 different pairs of shoes, getting the shoes ripped, crying about it, looking at the referee. Oh, did my head on that fella up top today for them. But coming to you, Franny, this is interesting, right? I've seen it here, right? Lucky 15 voodoo. I reckon we could save millions by turning Nevada into a striker and getting another right winger. We're talking about squad depth, right? And we looked at the centre back position. At the moment, we're pretty well stacked. If Kobayashi comes in, it probably spells the end for Welsh. But what do you think about that coming? Because I can see the logic. We've seen Nevada play there, and I think he got 3 goals in his 2 games, and he plays striker. Effectively, you could bring in another potential right winger to go alongside that. Think there's any room for that? Kind of switching positions for him?
Well, I understand what you're saying. I scored 3 goals in about 2 games and playing that position, but he scored about 100 other goals for right wing. So you're saying you can save millions by putting him as a striker. How much is it costing you to get a right winger that can give you Abada's numbers?
Well, I mean, to be fair, Lucky Foodie, he's just slapped you down there big
Bang on, You're bang on.
Why not just get a striker? Just get a striker that can. I'm not saying that score goals. There's no point in. I appreciate Abada's no a tricky winger. He's no. He might develop into and maybe get a wee bit more composure and some tricks and things that where he'll maybe be more confident beating a guy. But I didn't understand why would the guy's numbers at right wing is ridiculous. So why try and take away the goals for right wing to then God knows how long it will take to get him confident to play the striking role.
Yes, Jimmy.
And then how much in one hand, maybe they save money because he goes up front and scores goals, but then whoever you bring in at right wing isn't getting the numbers. Strikers do tend to be more expensive, but I think a winger that's guaranteeing you about 20 odd goal assists a season is quite expensive too.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I think it's madness to suggest putting him up front and taking the goals away from wide.
Surprisingly, Franny, I do agree with you. Paul Dye comes in. Nevada couldn't dribble past the traffic cone, but his ability to go into the box is worth having him on the park, especially against Sevco. Yeah, I kind of totally agree with you on that front. Maybe a further striker, as we talked about before, a European level striker to come in to help kind of boost that level and get a bit more competitive in the European competitions. But Ross, our final game before a month break, I really can't even begin to think about it. Like, even think about these weekends about us playing. Jesus. I know we're playing the Sydney Cup games and that's a bit of thing to look forward to. Ange's homecoming and things which we talked about last night, but a month break in the season, buddy, it's not great. Like,
it's the way that Celtic team's playing now. I think everybody feels the same.
Yeah.
Again, we've no set the head on fire the last 2 or 3 games, but it's just we're on the front foot on it. It's just the style we play. It's so exciting. We win a game, and I can't wait for the next game to come around. And it was the same last year. We were getting into our stride. We were still behind Rangers. But the January break came around and you were like, oh, missing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that thing to look forward to. No, that I don't know, I'm going to speak for them. Not my life shite, but that is one thing that I really look forward to. I'm like, can't I wait for the Celtic game? Oh, I'll come home from my work on Wednesday night and there'll be a game on.
Yeah.
But now and I know the World Cup's coming on, and like I said last night, once we're in the midst of it, you'll be fine. You'll watch the games. But I just want Celtic to keep going with the momentum. But at the same time, this could be a welcomed break. I know Angela did yesterday to the fact that they've planned for this break. They've known about it for the start of the season. So it's no issue for them.
Mm-hmm.
But for me as a fan, Celtic are winning games. They're in a good place. Let's just keep going. But it's not what's going to happen. We've got a World Cup coming. We've got the Sydney Cup. We've only got, I think you said last night, we've got maybe 4 players going away. It's not a lot in terms of
Carter Vickers, Boy, Maeda, and Jay Juranovic.
Right. So it's not a lot in terms of the squad, right? It's 4 players, right? So we have got a month now to be on the training pitch, just working together. These guys are no going to, like, the Scottish players are no going to Scotland. We talked about it last night.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to benefit us. And by the time we come back, we're almost at the January window stage where I quite believe we're going to add again if we go the same way as we acted last season. We're going to get stronger, and we're going to be stronger before we sign MD because of the work we're going to do in the hopefully on the training, the work we're going to do in the training field. I don't know what's happening at Rangers. I'm no bothered, but they're in disarray. Something's going to they're either going to have the same manager or they're going to have a new manager in place.
Martindale,
and whatever it may be, right? Whatever it may be, there's not going to be that stability that we have in our club right now.
Yeah.
And we are we're clearing the league, and we've got stability.
What did you think about Postecoglou's presser today after the game? Because he referenced a lot about the character side of things and us coming through that kind of sticky pads and winning the games. And he also said the boys were excellent. I mean, personally, I don't really think the performance was, but I get what he means in terms of attitude, sticking to the game plan. Because we all know at the moment, we discussed it at the start of the show, there's a lot of factors against us, but it's like he knows it now. I've seen him on the sideline, and he had his arms outstretched, being like, what's going on? It's incredible, but what do you think about that?
His interview, for me, spoke volumes, right? Because he didn't actually say it, but the word, the language he used, and the way he spoke about the team, about their mentality and all the rest of it, I can't remember the exact words, but it was like, it was defiance in his the way he spoke. It was like, I'm not going to speak about VAR, but I'm going to speak about the team in a way that it's alluding to it in the background.
Yeah.
That's what he done. It was very cute. It was very clever. You can do what you want, sort of thing. But this team are not going to stop. He said it for the start. This team are not going to... There was a wee wobble last week, but I've had a word with them, and their mentality is right. And doesn't matter what you do, you'll try your best, but we will not be stopped. We will win this league because we are by far the best team in Scotland, and we're too far ahead of everybody else. That okay, at some point I've said it. A referee, a VAR decision will cost us 3 points.
Oh yes, it will.
But it'll not be enough to stop us winning the league title, because they can't give enough decisions against us in a game where it's like so glaring that it would cost us that much, because we're too far ahead. We have too much of the ball. We're too attacking. We make too many chances, and at some point we're going to score in a game. The last time we didn't score in a game was the St Mirren game domestically or in the league. Tell me a time before that, because I can't remember. We score goals, and when you score goals, you win games.
I think there's before that, we scored. I mean, there was a run. I can't remember the stat, but I'm pretty sure it was like over 30 games or something. We scored the goals in, and that was our first kind of blank in a year or two. So, I mean, in terms of that, you're 100% right. When Brian McCabe comes in, even though that's a bit late, as I will mention, they're not picking the ball up twice. So, yeah, we've mentioned that, but it was absolutely incredible scenes. I mean, you can catch up with the show as well, go back to the beginning, and you'll hear all about VAR. It was an absolute shambles. But coming to you, Franny, do you think in a roundabout way, Postecoglou's really pushing us to the board to sort this out with the VAR? And Ross is right. He makes a lot of subtle comments in his post match or pre match, and does really come out and slate it, but you can kind of get the meaning behind his language.
I think we've said it countless times that Postecoglou is an intelligent man. He knows not to get sucked in. He knows not to get headless. He's obviously been asked plenty of times about VAR, and he just says he doesn't like it. He keeps quite simple sort of answers that doesn't lead to anything that maybe leads him down a road that he doesn't want to be going down. He just says, I didn't like it. It's meant to be all about the fans, and it's not about the fans. Disney tries to no sort of question the technology. I think it was last week's the first time you sort of did question it without questioning it when he said, "Oh, you only get penalties if that's only deemed a penalty, and no penalties if it's at Tynecastle." And then obviously the day again, it is wee subtle things, and I know you touched it yesterday about Celtic approaching the SFA about the whole VAR things and wanting clarification on certain decisions. And you could argue that there's plenty of decisions you could have went back to, like the Hearts one, like the Bernabe one, the Starfelt tackle against him, and things like that. Saying, and the Giakoumakis one against Dundee United, saying why were these are the decisions we want to question. But the problem with the ones, it's as much as you might hate the word, it's subjective. So it's somebody's opinion going, well, at the time I felt that was the right decision. And I know obviously the offside one, offside is kind of meant to be black and white. So I think it was intelligent to use that one to say, well, show us the evidence it being offside. We're no questioning it's offside. Show us the evidence that it's offside. And I think, like Mark, I was watching the Thursday Night Forum, and Mark Kearney was bang on saying that I agreed with him saying that Celtic have been very intelligent in picking that argument, knowing that it's black and white, that they kind of get the whole subjective sort of one back, but it's kind of saying to them, like, we're watching you, and even if we agree with that it's offside, like they've not necessarily agreed that Jota's offside, but we're going, even if we agree it's offside, prove that it's offside, shows your system works, prove that it's offside. And I think it's just showing them they're not got to get away with stupid wee things. So I think Postecoglou's been intelligent. I think the board are also being intelligent in what ones they're using to question VAR.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like Ross, you said it last night, they picked the shitty thing to question and give them.
I do think that I totally agree with that. They did, but offside's black and white. You're either offside or you're not. Whereas fouls and things like that are questionable.
I bet it was the camera angle we got.
I know, but that's what I mean. That's what Celtic's question going. Well, I think that's what Celtic being intelligent going. Well, why is the system that we're paying for? No, the SFA we're paying for. Why is that not working? Tell us why.
I've still yet to see clarity if he was offside.
And I think that's
I've not got a big problem with it.
No one has.
No, I've not got a big problem with it because we won the game anyway, and like if they're using it, we've not seen them. We've not seen them using the technology. That's the issue. If the technology works the same way as we've seen in England and wherever else it's been used, then that's fine. But they can't. It's no fair for the paying fan. I don't call myself on this because I wasn't at the game. But it's no fair for the paying fan or even guys. In fact, even guys that watching the telly to be given an angle like it was given, and then it just be basically like brushed aside. Like we knew they were going to do that, but it's no fair. It's no fair in anybody. It's not. I can't think of the word, but that sort of level playing field that we're talking about, it is not that, because I don't know if anybody inside Celtic has had the clarification better than what the fans have, but for me, if I'm playing a game against anybody and I see something unfair, I'm going to challenge it. And that was unfair.
And I think that's what Celtic have tried to say, is saying, "Oh well, why were we not showing the evidence? Shows the evidence," and then obviously it came out that the camera was focused.
But why they know? Why they know are like this one the day, right? Why they know? They might, yeah. But for me, they won't, right? But Celtic should come out the Mora, for instance, and say, right, that penalty was given against Matt O'Reilly. I want to know why we didn't get a penalty at Tynecastle, and I want to know why you didn't go to the. I can't mind if they went to VAR the day. Did they?
No, we've been near that, Ross. We've been near that, we didn't.
Aye, right, okay, that's right, that's right. But I want to know why. I want an explanation as to why the one at Tynecastle, the guy was standing clearly inside the box with his hands at his side, and he turns. I'm not saying it was deliberate, but why is that a penalty? And Matt O'Reilly is debatably inside the box, and it comes up off his own, like his teammate, and hits him in the hand with his hands at his side. Why is that a definite penalty without looking at the monitor? And that is not a penalty at all without looking at the monitor. Yeah. I want to know why. That's if I'm Celtic, that's what I'm doing. But Celtic won't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to the whole consistency side of things. Yeah, which is an absolute shambles. And I mean, there has been a lot of talk today back.
They do like an 8-point letter after a referee get a game where they got beat and the referee wasn't allowed to match.
9-point letter, kid.
Yeah, I mean, instead of living on the land of questions, let's live in the land of certainties at the moment. 9 points clear. We're looking down on them. Into this break, sitting pretty at the top of the table. As I said previously, that ladder's to help them in the next part of this season, see if they can climb any further to catch us. But I mean, well, I think we're all pretty confident, guys. This is our first ever post-match reaction live. We're going to aim to do this once a month. And I know it doesn't sound much, but there's a lot of scheduling. People have families, personal lives, and jobs. So once a month of us at the Endless Celts Podcast, giving it all about VAR, referees, and hopefully that doesn't take up too much of the shows in the coming future and it gets sorted out. But we probably can't see that happening as of honest. But have you enjoyed this one?
Superb.
Brilliant,
Loved it, mate.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm really pleased to see a lot of the regulars in the comments. Because it's not easy to... I know myself, like, if I'm on the podcast, I'm obviously there. If I'm not on the podcast, it's not easy for me to watch it live as much as I would like to, because you've got other commitments. These guys, I don't know anything about their personal life, but they're there and they're always there. And I love everything.
100%. And Michael McDonald is asking the most important question: what is the Endless Celts plan for the next few weeks? Well, as we know, this stupid World Cup is taking over at the moment for a month. We'll be going back into the rewind side of things. We've got one organised for Monday with Anthony, a Champions League rewind. I think it's 06, 07. I believe it's one of them years anyway. We'll be looking back at the teams we played and all that type of stuff. And then go into a wee bit deeper, the worst 11, the best 11, and maybe an Ange Postecoglou versus Brendan Rodgers team to see what we think would be the outcome. But yeah, we've got a lot of things planned. We're looking forward to it, and we'll be on our usual slots regardless anyway, Monday and a Friday live at 8 p.m. on YouTube. But until Monday for the Endless Celts Rewind with Anthony Dunn, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.